You guys ready? There's a lot of talking. Now we're gonna do some more. But my goal from today, I think it's pretty safe to assume that all of you guys want a 7-figure agency, right? If not already in the next 3 to 12 months. And so my goal today is to give you the foundation that is unfortunately necessary, so dearly unsexy, but absolutely necessary to help you to build that. And what that really looks like, and it looks something like this. And I know you guys look at these words and you're like, fuck me. But it's really true. This is the foundation of your house. And like any building, without the foundation, the whole thing collapses at any moment. And the foundation is made up of essentially 5 pillars: core values, vision, mission, strategy, and execution. And the reason that this is the foundation is because these answer the most fundamental questions that your team and your company needs to have the answers to. And they might not ask you explicitly, so you might not have ever been in a position where you needed to answer, but every human being asks these questions. And what's so fundamental about this is that it's not for you guys. And Joel, I want you to talk a little bit more about this. It's not for you guys. It's for your team. And the reality is that without this, you are underutilizing the greatest resource that every single one of you has, which is your own human potential. And human potential, like money, like energy, like time, it's a resource. It needs to be allocated and optimized. And if without this, it's like taking 40 cents out of every dollar and just throwing it away. That's what's happening.
It's like taxes.
It's like taxes. It's like living in California when you should be living in Puerto Rico. So stop that and answer the questions, because your team, even if they aren't asking you, they need to know. They need to know the answers to these questions. And so that's what we're going to get into today. And we're going to walk through it one by one. There's essentially 3 reasons, guys, just to break it down into the nitty-gritty, because I know it looks very woo-woo. I get that. I totally do. There's 3 major tangible reasons that you guys need these things. The first is just the data, straight up just the numbers, right? When you have these 5 pillars, you get to save in these 3 ways. You get lower turnover and better hiring. The average cost of a mishire, by the way, in case you were curious, for an entry-level position is their full annual salary. For a salesperson, it's 5 times their annual salary. And if you mishire a manager, it's 15 times their annual salary. So if you pay your salesperson $100K a year, you just blew $500K. Do you have that kind of money? I don't have that kind of money. I don't want to waste that money. So you hire better because you actually know what you're looking for. And you know you are hiring people who are with you for the long term. You get increased productivity. Empowered leaders generate 2.1 times the output from their teams. So right now, in this moment, you guys could change nothing, put no more money in, don't change the inputs at all, and double the output. Double the productivity, double the revenue, double the profit. Sound good? And lastly, loyalty. It's human nature, guys. Why would anybody sacrifice anything for something they don't care about, for something they don't know about, right? You have to give them a reason to show up and do their best and not just what is expected. And you need to prevent this race to the bottom, because if your only winning feature is that you pay them something, then as soon as somebody comes along who pays them more, they're gone. And you've cost yourself that much, right? So just purely in the numbers, this is necessary for your business. Reason number 2, and I won't make the obvious joke here, but 75% of you in your surveys said that you wanted to fire yourselves from your agencies, right? Or take a vacation test, a 14-day, a 30-day vacation test. When Marcos and Joel took their first vacation test, it was about 1.5 years ago, 30 days, shit fell apart immediately, like crashed and burned. And it wasn't on the team. And it wasn't on the person who didn't launch that person. It was on Joel and Marcos. Because without the foundation, you have to be there every day to make sure that the ship keeps running. All of you are experiencing that to some form or another right now, right? And so if you truly want to fire yourselves without ship breaking, and without, if you were to actually fire yourself without your company just kind of languishing away, which I promise you it will, this is what you need. And lastly, the third reason, marginal change. If you say, okay, yes, I do want to fire myself, but I don't want to fire myself for like 2-3 years, so do I really need to worry about this right now? Yes. If you're there and you make a 1-degree shift, and you will, right? This stuff is subtle. It shows up every day a little bit. And if you make that 1-degree shift now, and you're trying to get here, then you end up here. If 3 years from now you're finally ready to fire yourself, great, let's do it. Sorry, but you're here. And now you have to go all the way down. And you've set yourself back 6 months, 12 months before you can actually make that happen. So the reason every time I talk to somebody about this stuff, they're like, damn, I wish I knew this 6 months ago. So we're talking about it now, so 6 months from now, you don't have to have that conversation with me. This is the unsexy, necessary work. It's the foundation. At the end of the day, you're doing 2 things for your team. You're building focus and alignment. When you guys all start out building your companies, it's called stage 1 growth, and it's all about what you say yes to. You're gonna try every idea and every strategy and every ad variation and every offer because you have to. You're identifying market fit. That's what makes you a good entrepreneur, is you're this creative powerhouse. Once you hit stage 2 growth, it becomes about what you say no to. And that's the hardest shift that I see entrepreneurs make, is that they have to go from saying yes to everything and trying everything to saying no more often than they say yes. And the problem is, Layla Hermosi always says, a CEO who doesn't believe in anything will go for everything. You have nothing to evaluate against. You don't know what to say no to. How could you? And so focus is about saying no to the right things and saying yes to the right things. Alignment is not just understanding, yeah, we're all on the same page. Alignment is about buy-in. It's about underlying inherently held belief that gets and inspires a person to show up at their best. And so your team has to be aligned if you want to maximize the productivity and output from your human capital and your human potential. This is ultimately what you're doing. And by the way, if you look at Atlas now, Joel is 100% out of the day today. Marcos is down in Argentina. He just paraglided over Patagonia to Chile and back. He takes maybe 2 leadership meetings a day. And by the way, the only thing he talks about is this. He's completely out of the day today as well. Compared to a year and a half ago, where you guys couldn't step out for 30 days without everything falling apart. And it's because Marcos and I spent the last 12 months working this. Any questions before we go? And if you guys have any questions as we go, please let me know.
Does this make sense so far? Yes.
Let's do it. So we got to start with core values. This is the most existential question, who am I? And again, unless your team probably hasn't told you, but they are wondering this. I always say culture is what happens when you're not looking, when you're not there. Core values is what helps your people make the decisions and make sure all of the decisions are aligned without anybody having to be there to align them, because everybody's operating under the same principles. And I'm gonna dive into here exactly the exercise that you need to run through with your team to build your core values. But before we do that, a couple of notes. Don't have any more than 10. Dear God, do not have 32 or whatever. 33? Are you kidding me? Your core values become part of you. They have to be something that you can remember and internalize. And the human brain cannot manage more than 10, so don't try. Build based off of what you are and not who you think you are. So important, because I guarantee you, whatever you think your core values are, they aren't. Because culture is what happens when you're not there. And so you aren't the culture. You don't get to decide that. Your team does. Your team is your culture. How they behave when you aren't looking is your culture. That's who you are, actually. It's your team. They are your source of truth. You have to involve them in the process. And lastly, make them totally unique to you. These are our new core values for 7-figure. We came up with these just a few weeks ago.
We did. The team did.
100%. Sniper, not shotgun. You guys probably have no idea what the hell that means, but that's okay, because it's not for you either. It's for them. And they know what it means, and we know what it means. They won't make sense to you, and they shouldn't. Your core values are about what your team believes, and something generic, like integrity or honesty, means something different to everybody. So why the heck would you put that down, right? You have to not only have core values that are true to you, but that are unique to you, because integrity at our company is different than integrity at your company. And your team needs to understand the difference, because they're a part of your company, not ours. There's 3 stages. This is the exercise that we literally did with the team just a few weeks ago. It was amazing, and I would love for you guys to share a little bit about your experience with this. But the first thing you have to do is you're going to need 1 to 2 hours with your team, and it is going to take that long. And you let them know that, and you pre-frame before you do this exercise, and you say, listen, your time is valuable. I would not ask for so much of it unless I knew this was important. And so what I would ask from you is that you come prepared. You have actually reflected on what our culture means to you. Completely disregard whatever our current core values may be. Just think truly to what you believe them to be. And you pre-frame them and you remind them like 10 times. And then you get with them and you sit them down, and either on Zoom or literally, like we had like a poster board and sticky notes, get a big piece of paper and something that you can write down on, and you get started. So guys, you sit your team down, you get everybody caffeinated, and you ask them 2 questions. And your job is to ask the question, and then you just shut up. And the question is, give me an example of someone else on the team and something they did that embodied what we're all about. And the reason this is such an important question phrased this way is because people are really weird about talking about themselves. They're shy and they're humble and they don't like to brag, and also they're just like not that self-aware. None of us are, right? And so they won't give you an accurate understanding, but they're incredibly analytical of others. And so when you frame the question as, give me an example of someone else and what they did that you believe embodies what we're all about and what we should be about, they'll tell you everything. And they'll start calling each other out, and it becomes this amazing love fest, popcorn effect. You guys were incredible. You crushed it. We didn't talk for 2 hours. They just ran around trading compliments, trading what they loved about each other and what they respected about each other. And my job was just to write the words, write the phrases, write the key ideas that you're picking up on, write the examples down, just note it all down, throw it up on a board. Don't do anything with it, just write. That's stage 1. So after you've gotten everything on a board, right, back to core values, you've worked with your team, you've got everything on the board. After that, then you actually put on a thinking cap, right? Like with the brain dump, there's no wrong answer. Nothing is incorrect. Everything goes on there. And then in stage 2, you start to clump them together. So if somebody said, I loved how John was so honest with me and gave me the feedback I needed to hear, and another person was like, yeah, and then I had that really hard conversation with that client. And, that was an amazing thing that happened. Those are both under the scope of integrity, right? But they look completely different. So you refine by theme. You build around, like, these are the pods. These are the similarities that I'm seeing. And you clump them together. And then finally, at the end, those are your core values, by the way. Then at the end, you pull out the one phrase, the one thing that represents that pod, and that's your value, okay? And this is a literal picture of when we did this with our team. Stage 1 looks like this. Like the entire poster board was just covered with sticky notes, the whole thing. You couldn't see anything. And then stage 2, you start to clump them together. And then stage 3, you're left with one thing. And there's a lot of pink on this board. We had more than 10 at the beginning, and that's where the executive decision comes in, right? Which is, what are the most important values? Maybe some of the values fit into other values. Maybe some of the values are true and authentic to who you are, but they aren't necessary to get you to where you want to go. These are leadership questions. And you work with each other, and you narrow it down, and you're left with no more than 10. Does the process of building out core values make sense, guys? Any questions on that? When you're done building your core values, you are not done. How many of you have worked at a company where the core values go up on a big shiny poster on the wall, and then you never talk about them again, and you never look at them, and they just become part of the wallpaper? Every single one of us. Then why'd you do it? Why'd you go through all the work? That's useless. Your job is to proselytize. And religion is a perfect metaphor for this. Jesus had 10 commandments. And he repeated them over and over and over to his apostles, and they repeated it over and over and over to their people, and then somebody wrote a book about it, and now I know them, even though I'm not Christian. That's what you want. That is exactly what you want. You're Jesus, and it starts with you. When you're done building your core values, it is your responsibility to bring those into every conversation and every decision. Go full Mormon missionary on it and never stop talking about it, okay? And you remind them again and again and again. And when we have a conversation around, hey, do we give a refund to this client? You say, yeah, because in this case, actually giving a fuck means giving them that refund. And you contextualize every decision in one or multiple of the core values until it becomes part of your language. If you look at any religion, any cult, any organization, they have language that is unique to them. That's how you know it's in their subconscious, right? So that is what you need to do. This is how you take core values off of a wall and you bring them into the day-to-day decision making. It has to start with you. But good news is, Jesus isn't directly telling every single person on earth what the core values are. After you do it well and you do it the first time, those people bring it into your next generation of employees, and those people bring it forward into your clients. And it is self-fulfilling from there. And if you guys need to know, hey, am I doing a good job of this? Just look to your new hires. How long does it take them to bring your core values into their language? How long does it take for them to subconsciously indoctrinate that straight into their brain? And if it shouldn't take more than a month. Within a month, the language should change. And so if you need to know, hey, am I doing a good job? That's how you know. Anything else on core values? And then we're moving on. All right. Vision and mission. And we do have to move a little faster. I apologize. Who's familiar with Maslow's pyramid of needs? Great. Perfect. This is what every human being needs. And if you don't have any of this stuff we're talking about, you're here. What you're providing them is the bare minimum that they need to be safe and alive. Good job. And as soon as somebody comes along that offers them any of this, they're gone. Because you aren't competitive. You have a bad offer. So improve your offer. All the studies show after basic needs are met, basic financial needs are met, money is not a primary motivator for 85% of people. It's the rest. It's purpose. It's mission. It's vision. It's all of this. Love and belonging, this is core values. I know this is hard for you guys to understand because you're all entrepreneurs, but I'm not. I started my own business before I joined Atlas, hated it. Worked about 5 hours a day because I just didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to. But if you put me in a group of people, I will happily work 16 hours a day and not even notice. Because if you put an intrapreneur, which is what your people are, because they aren't running their own companies, in a group of people, they will show up. It makes them better. They have love and belonging. This is what core values are. This is how you make sure that everybody at your company shares that similarity and they can build a community off of it. Love and belonging, esteem, this we get through empowered leadership. And what we get to at the end of this is a clear strategy on how to do that and get their 100% buy-in and get their identity wrapped up in what you're trying to do. And then self-actualization. This is where vision and mission come in. The ability to be part of something greater, to be a part of the team that got human beings to Mars. Yeah. That's what they want. That is what drives people. That's what gets them to show up at 100% for 4 years in a row to get people to Mars. Okay? I'm so sorry. Nobody wants to make you money. I'm not here to make Joel Kaplan money. Could not care less. Sorry, no offense. I don't care. Nobody on your team cares about making you money. And the troubling part, and if we're being radically honest with ourselves, is that for most people, you guys started your agencies to make yourself money. Let's be honest about that. But that why is not good enough for them. And if that is the why that you've been operating under for however long, it's time to do better because your team deserves it. Okay? The why is the answer to these questions. Why show up when things get hard? I'm a salesperson, appointments go down. Why not just take another position? Why show up when you get an offer from another company with a higher salary? Why take an enormous pay cut? Why can nonprofits not pay their people fucking anything? Because they have a really strong why. Why give your best performance instead of the minimum accepted standard? Huge. Why give 100% when you get paid for 80%? Just as much. Nobody cares about making you money. You got to do better. And if you don't know what your why is, it's okay. We got that coming. At the end of this weekend, you will have a why. And the key is that that is your personal why, and your company's why needs to be an extension of that. Inauthenticity, people can sense it. It's a survival mechanism. So your company's why needs to be an extension, a natural expansion of your personal why. And if you don't know your personal why, start there and then build it out. But for the vision statement, specifically, you're answering this question. What does the world look like if your company grows to its fullest and highest potential? It's a vision statement. Go big with it. Go the biggest you can with it. What does the world look like if you do what you do best? And everything works out. What does the world look like? That is what inspires people. The world looks like people on Mars. Hell yeah, let's do that. That's great. What is the world, right? Microsoft, a computer on every desk and in every home. To your point about how often do visions change only when you're Microsoft and you actually hit it. Then they had to get a new vision, which is insane. LinkedIn, create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. This is their vision. Their world is one where everybody has economic opportunity. Atlas Digital, empower small business owners to achieve what Marcos calls their 4 Ws, their who's, their what's, their wins, their where's, which is just personal freedom. Feel free to grab this. You guys can use it. We're all in small business marketing. It's probably something along these lines. We're empowering our clients. That's what we're here for. But if that's not true to you, if that doesn't resonate with you, if that's not authentic to you, then that's not your why. And don't steal somebody else's because your team will know. Good on vision? Mission. What? What on earth are we doing here? What will your company do in order to bring about your vision? Think military here. A military mission is clear. We're going to storm the base and save the hostages. It is super clear. The mission is the action plan. The vision is the vision, saved hostages. The mission is how we're going to do it. What are we going to do? So Tesla is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. It's pretty clear. Patagonia, even more so. Build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, use business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. Do you realize there's nothing about clothing in here? Clothing is the vehicle they have chosen, but their mission is about the environment. That's their why. And the mission is a method of how they're going to do it. And Atlas is help 500 chiropractors double their practice using digital marketing. So if the vision is help small business owners achieve personal freedom, the vehicle we've chosen to do that is digital marketing, helping 500 chiropractors. And as tangible and specific as you can make this, the better. Because this is something to latch onto. This is clear. Your team can get behind this and they know whether they're on their way or not. There's a clear end point, right? Save the hostages. It's clear. And so the more you can do that, the more you can motivate, give clarity, and inspire. Guys, by the way, for anybody who has a vision and mission who doesn't have it memorized, it's because you didn't proselytize it to yourself. You didn't sell yourself on it. How is any salesperson anywhere supposed to sell something if they don't believe in it? You are selling this to your team all the time. Let's be very clear. You are a salesperson every day. And the people you sell are your team, and you sell their conviction. And if you yourself don't have conviction, why should they? Why on earth should they? Good to go on to strategy, and I promise we get more tangible from here. Okay. Strategy is how. How are you actually going to execute on the mission? Do you see how these layer? You can't have a mission without a vision. You can't have a strategy without a mission. How would you do that? You can't build it, right? So it's got to start at the beginning. But this we can reverse engineer. And I'd like all of you guys to, even in a loose sense, go through this exercise with me so that you understand how it works, and then you can go back and revise later. So the first step is given your mission and given your personal goal, which again, you'll walk away from this weekend with, what is your 2021 target? I'm sure it's the new year. All of you guys have a 2021 goal, so that'll work for right now. Maybe it's a revenue goal. Maybe it's the number of clients goal, right? But what is that goal? Write it down. Number 2, what numbers need to change in order to hit that goal? This is the greatest mistake I see entrepreneurs make, is they're like, all right, my goal is to double revenue, and so I guess I'll just build an offer for that. Awesome. How's it going to change your numbers? Do you have your numbers? Do you know what doubling your revenue breaks down as acquisition and LTV? Do you know how you're actually going to double your revenue? Or are you just hoping that this new offer will somehow do that for you? A goal without a clear, data-driven strategy on how you're going to get there is just a guess. It's just a guess. Could happen, could not. You have no idea. And so you need to know the numbers. And remember, in agency, there's really only 2 levers, acquisition and LTV. So your database strategy needs to move one of these 2 levers, and you should know which, and you should know how, right? And what I would recommend is start with LTV, lifetime value, because it's a lot harder to move, but LTV tells you what your acquisition needs to be. So if your goal is to increase your monthly revenue by 100K, well, there's a lot of different ways to do that. You could get 5 clients who each pay you 20K, or you could get 100 clients who pay you 1,000. How are you going to do it? You got to decide. And I say start with LTV because LTV is clear and hard to move. And so what your LTV is likely will not change all that much, but you need to start there. If you are just getting started in your agency, LTV can be anywhere from 2 to 4K. Once you're a little bit bigger, once you're a little bit more established and you know your market and you're able to generate results, LTV tends to fall between 6 to 8. Once you're pretty damn good, it's around 10. Once you're really good and starting to make a name for yourself in your market, it's around 15. And once you're Alex Hormozi, it's 20. By the way, Alex always says, I don't make better decisions than anybody else. I just have better data. And the data makes the decisions for me. So don't skip the numbers step. It's super important, right? So based off of that, if you don't know your LTV, go home, figure that out, and drive that first. LTV is, like, in theory, just how much your average client will pay you over the course of their lifetime. Yes, there is a formula for it, and yes, use the formula, because if your average retention is 11 months, then you don't want to wait 11 months to know what your LTV is. So there's a formula. It's in the, it was in the chat. I have to create a little video on how to calculate out LTV. We won't dive into it today, but yes, there's a formula that projects, gives you an approximation of what your LTV is. You start there. And let's say your LTV is 10K, and you're like, all right, well, in order to hit my revenue goal, I think I can get that to 12K. Beautiful, start there. And then once you have that, that will tell you what your acquisition needs to be in order to hit that goal. And it's very clear, and there is no guesswork. Does that make sense, guys? After you have the numbers and you say, okay, I know I need to, in order to hit this goal, increase LTV by 5K and double sales. Beautiful. Then what now are the strategies that you can use to do that? Is it a new offer? Maybe you have to double your sales force. Maybe it's a team. Maybe you have to do more proactive check-in calls, because that's the best way you can improve LTV, and it's a system and a process, right? Then you get to the strategy, and you brain dump, same as core values, all the potential strategies in the world that you could use in order to move those numbers. And only then do you narrow down the list, and you narrow it by core values, vision, and mission. Again, this is focus. This is why your core values, vision, mission tell you what to say no to. I tell these guys all the time, you're brilliant. You're a good entrepreneur. You'll find a way to make money. There's 100 different ways we could make money. But how should we make money? And how on earth would you know how to answer that question unless you had the core value, vision, and missions, right? So that becomes your tool against which you measure and grade your strategy. And the strategy that aligns the most becomes the strategy that you roll with, because that's a strategy that your team understands and they're bought into and they can get behind and they can help move you forward. If you have a lot of them, then do my favorite sentence from the book, The One Thing. What is the one thing that you can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? So if there are 2 strategies to increase LTV, proactive check-in calls and a new email CRM, do the check-in calls, because then you won't have to do the emails, because you already talked to them. Do the thing that makes everything else easier and unnecessary, and do that first. And then finally, that becomes your objective, and you've got a strategy, and it's clear. Are we clear on how this process kind of plays through? Reverse engineer it?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I need you guys to write down that objective, or a objective, that you believe to be your Q1 objective. You've got your 2021 goal. You know you need to double revenue. So what is reasonable for Q1? How close to that goal can you get? What is the objective? And then we're going to finish off with execution, which is my favorite part. We're almost there, guys, I promise. So you've done this incredible thing. You've built your core values and you've layered on your vision, and then you've put your mission on top, and you've got all of this incredible momentum, and you've built this incredible rocket ship, and it's going to the moon. And 3 months later, you get back from this, event, and you share it with your team, and you're so freaking excited, and it's so great. Oh my God, let's go. And 3 months from now, 3 months from now, for some reason, you wake up and you're like, we haven't talked about our core values in like 2 months. And we had a strategy, but I'm looking at what we're working on right now, and it's not it. We agreed that proactive check-in calls were the most important metric to move the needle on, and we haven't looked at it. We haven't tracked it. How did that happen? How? What I'm going to share and finish off with is the strategy that Google uses to align its multi-thousand-person team, what Intel uses, what the Gates Foundation uses, what Bono uses, to get alignment and buy-in. Because what you've done with all of this is you've built focus, your team is clear, but they aren't bought in. And understanding is not the same as inherent and underlying belief. And your last step is to make them want it more than you want it, because then you get the 2.1 times output. You've inspired them. So let's dive into it. It's called OKRs. OKR stands for Objective Key Results. And everybody at your company needs one, and every department at your company needs one, and your company needs one, and you need one. And you need to know what they are, and everybody needs to know what everybody else's is. And this is how it works. The objective is at the center. This is this guy right here. Take that, put it in the middle. The objective is what you are chasing. It is what your company, your sole focus for this quarter, for just this quarter. It doesn't mean there can't be other things that you do, but this is the goal. This is the objective that you need to accomplish this quarter in order to hit your 2021 goal, in order to hit your mission, in order to hit your vision. And then you build 3 to 5 key results that are necessary to accomplish that objective. That part is important. The key results are chosen such that by hitting all of them, your objective is guaranteed. And less is more. If you only have 3, beautiful. Keep it to 3. The 3 most important results that need to be accomplished in order to hit your objective. And this is the company-wide level. And then this is where it gets really fun. You meet with your team. You say, this is our company-wide objective. The marketing key result.
Give an example.
Yeah, so for 7FA, our objective is to empower the 7FA community to our team. The day-to-day operations and running of our product, we need to empower it to our team. That's our objective.
That number one focus
is all we are doing every single day. What does that mean? Well, in sales, it means that our sales team is going to close in this quarter 150 sales without Sergio. Sergio doesn't hop on a single one of those calls, which he has been. For anybody who was closed, I'm sure you spoke with Sergio. Objective, sales key result. And then you go to your head of sales or your top salesperson or just all your salespeople and you say, great, this key result is your objective. Same, this is the same. The sales key result for the entire company-wide objective becomes the sales objective, and you work with your sales team to build up these sales key results. What are the 3 to 4 things that our sales team needs to do in order to make 150 sales without Sergio? We have to build out appointment setter and sales fire teams. And we need to do 2 hours of training a day. And we need to hire 4 new appointment setters, whatever it is. What are the key results that need to happen, 3 to 5, to accomplish the sales objective? And the key is that you build this with them. Because what somebody creates, they believe. And this is how you ensure buy-in and alignment. Because they built it. And you've talked with them about it, and you've asked them questions about it, and they understand why it's challenging, and they understand and are in agreement about what the key results are. And they're all in. And that guarantees this objective, which guarantees this key result, which guarantees the company-wide objective. And when you scale this out, it looks something like this. This is 7FA's OKRs, and you can tell we're not done yet. I still got to talk to sales. That's over here. The other things I want to highlight about this is that your person all the way at the fringes of this map now fundamentally understands why their work is crucial. Not just nice, not just a nice to have, it is absolutely necessary in order for the departmental objective to be hit, in order for the company objective to be hit. It provides meaning. They care, they understand how the VA who works at, SpaceX, if they had this, would understand how the work they are doing is necessary to go to Mars. It's not just nice, we could take it or leave it, it is necessary. This is what gives your team that self-actualization and challenges them to level up. You set these key results with them and you make them hard. They are stretch goals. And you empower your team to reach them, because if you don't hit that key result, we don't hit it. And so I need you to level up. And they say, fuck yeah, let's go. Because they are all in. They understand. They have alignment, not just focus. Does that make sense, guys? Couple of notes about effective OKRs. Again, collaborative. Build about 50% with your team. Some of the key results, They gotta get done. You know they gotta get done. Your team might not like it. You don't like it. FTC compliance. I had to put that one on there. Mark was not gonna put that on there. He doesn't wanna do it, but it is necessary. And when you are building them, ask them questions. What do you think are the most important results that are necessary to hit this objective? Why do you think those are so important? What do we have to do to accomplish those key results? Who do you need in order to accomplish those key results? What courses do you need to take? Why do you think this key result and not this one? We only get 5. Ask them, let them tell you, and coach them to think like a business owner. You are turning everybody at your company into a mini CEO who has full and 100% ownership over their key results because they built them and they fundamentally understand them. Data-driven. Every key result should say, okay, fire Sergio from sales, A and B, as measured by 150 sales without Sergio. How do they know whether or not they've hit them unless you've given them a number to shoot for? And this is self-fulfilling because we didn't have, you guys know, any data at all that we were tracking on any given day. There was like things were happening and we just had no idea. A and B ensures that your people are now looking at the data because they own that number. Every key result is their core metric, and they understand why that metric is so important because it links to the objective and this and that and the other, right? So if you don't have a data-driven strategy, this fixes it. And your job is to build out a beautiful KPI dashboard where they can see this every day. And they update it on a weekly basis. And your leadership meetings stop being about, hey, we're gonna do this, and they start being about, yo, where are your key results at? Are they off track? Are they on track? Why are they off track? Do we need more help? Do you need more coaching? Is it the wrong? These are changeable. Is it the wrong one? Do we need to revise it? Did our ads manager crash and that's going to inhibit our ability to hit it? How are you doing? How can I support you? What I love about OKRs more than anything is that they flow from the outside in. It's too small to see, but all the arrows are pointing this way, not out, in. Your team tells you what to do because they own their key results. And all you have to do is ask, and they'll tell you because you gave them 100% ownership over it. And so they ask you, and you just say, yeah, I can do that. Or no, I can't do that. That's not in line with our key results. When your team comes to you with awesome ideas, and you're like, that's such a great idea, but it doesn't help us hit our objective. So it's gonna have to wait. And you know what to say no to, and they know what to say no to. And when you come to them, Joel, and say, yo, I have this insane idea, the lowliest VA says, no, Joel, that's not my key result. I can't do that for you. Or maybe I'll get it done, but it's not my highest priority. I'll do it this weekend. But not until my work and my progress towards my key result is hit for this week. And you empower your team and you empower outside in and upside down and all around communication instead of just top down. If you guys are reliant on yourselves to be the driver of good ideas and creativity at your company, you are limiting yourself. You have all this human potential and creativity that you are not utilizing because you haven't told them what to innovate on. You haven't told them what they need to do and where they need to be putting their focus and their great ideas. And this captures that and has them bring it to you. Woo! Yeah. I love this. I love this. And if you don't love this, get yourself an ops manager and they will love this. Strategic. Again, the key results guarantee the objective. If any key result could not be met and the objective be hit, it's not a good enough key result, do it again. Accountability, they represent ownership that does not disqualify collaboration. A lot of the conversations I had when I did this with the team was, okay, well, I'm building an email list, but I need help from Aaron to help build out the automation behind it. Yeah, that's fine. That's not a problem. Collaboration, you guys help each other out on your key results. You help each other more because you know what you're working on. And Aaron goes in and sees, whoa, he's gonna need that. I'll build it for him. I know it's important, right? So the collaboration doesn't end. It's about ownership. It's about who asks the question. Right? Does Damon go to Joel and say, yo, Joel, I need you to put this content out? Or does Joel go to Damon and say, Damon, do the content? Which one of those is more empowering? Which one of that represents more ownership and accountability? OKRs are adaptable. Acts of God, Mark Zuckerberg. These are things we cannot control. If something happens, you can revise them. But if you do, it's a conversation. It's not a decision, right? And your team is the one coming to you and being like, yo, I don't think I can hit this anymore. And you say, great, let's talk about it. And you can revise it if needed. They're transparent. This diagram, everybody sees it. Because now marketing knows exactly what sales is doing. And sales can construct their OKRs so that they match up with what marketing is doing. And you can trust that all of this is in alignment because it stemmed from this. And it is automatic alignment. Google is thousands of people. but they are all working on the same objective. And that is clear, and they understand how that fits together. Oop. And finally, empowering. Shiny object syndrome. The way Joel told you to like stop niche hopping and just choose was him. That's the first time an entrepreneur has to say no more than they have to say yes. And that only gets more true the bigger you grow. That ratio of yes to no just gets really freaking skewed, and you end up saying no 10 times to every one time that you say yes. And that becomes your job, because your job is to keep them on track and keep them accountable to their OKRs. And their job is when you come in with shiny object syndrome and be like, no, Joel, we're not gonna do that. No, we're gonna stay focused and aligned. And by doing that, we guarantee our objective. OKRs, guys, does this all make sense? We were gonna do it, everybody's hot, go home and do it. And I'm ops, and I keep everybody organized, so here's your to-do list. If you weren't taking notes, here you go. Number 1, build your core values with your team. Takes 1 to 2 hours. Start there. These are in order. Number 2, finalize your vision and mission. That's something you can do once you have your why, thank you, Sergio, after this weekend. Number 3, build your strategy, reverse engineer it, and then share it with your team. So important. Make sure they understand exactly what the strategy is and what the single company-wide objective and key results are. That center of the diagram, that's the part that you guys built. You set the objective, you set the initial ring of key results, and then you let your team take it. And you meet with each of them individually, and you ask them questions, and you let them tell you what their key results should be, and you build your diagram, and then you share it with everybody. And then every single day for the rest of this quarter, you talk about it. And you ask questions around decisions based off of your core values. And instead of in a leadership meeting, you telling people what to do, you simply ask, how are we doing towards your key results? Where do you need my help? And you say it every day, again and again and again, until they are so bought in that your company is driving this rocket for you, and you're just there to be the guardrails. That's your whole job, is to inspire and keep the momentum and keep the guardrails up so that they don't get off track. That is your whole job. Good on this?
Guys, who's going to commit to doing this when they get back? Yeah.
Let's go. That's it, guys. Thank you.
Go.